Did you get updated or? Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. All righty. Thanks. Good morning, everyone. We'll be getting started in a moment. Here. All righty. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Pastor Ryan Chains up to provide the invocation and lead us in the pledge.
I know I speak for all the pastors in the county, just that we're honored to get to pray before our commissioners' meetings, and we really are blessed to live here, and thank you for the invitation. Almighty God, we come before you today, and Lord, we're just thankful to belong to you, thankful to live in this county, in our great country, thankful for your hand of divine providence that led our founding fathers to form this free land. And God, I just pray that you would continue to lead our commissioners, that your divine providence would guide them in these challenging times as they make big decisions and they put themselves out there on the front lines, Lord, for the betterment of our county, that you would impart your wisdom and your discretion to them. Lord, I pray a blessing over them, over their marriages, their families, their health, their relationship with the other county team, our sheriff and first responders, and just pray for their safety, Lord. Pray for our businesses, that you would continue to bless and prosper them, our schools and our children, Lord. These guys are making decisions that will impact many future generations, and we just ask that you would continue to guide them, and we thank you for their faithfulness and steadfastness, God. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Good morning, everybody. Those that are here, those that are maybe watching from the coziness of their homes. Amanda, the time is 9:04. Could you call the roll?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Pettit?
Here.
All righty. The first item we have is approval of the agenda. I'd accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented, but I want to note that Mr. Hickenlooper's representative will not be here.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. With that one note, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First item of business we have is approval of the items on consent. I'd accept a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All righty. Elected officials, department head, staff reports. Palace, Susan, no? Sam, do you have anything for us today?
Commissioners, I do have a couple items I'd like to mention today. First of all, I'd like to introduce Greg Thompson. Greg, stand up. He's our newly appointed CDS director. We just did that on the consent agenda, so we're happy to have him here. He's been here as planning manager, and now we've got him up as CDS director. So the promotion, and we got a lot of work in front of us for planning.
Congratulations. Yeah. Anything you want to say, or nope? Okay. No. Welcome again in your new role.
Commissioners, the second item I've got is, as you may know, we have a very close relationship with the State Department of Local Affairs, DOLA, and DOLA has been a friend to us, and our representative has been here quite a while, and he has always been a resource for every department in the county, and kind of helped us through the CARES Act funding and the ARP funding, and then all the other history and grants that he brought to us, not only here in Elbert County, but also our towns, Elizabeth, Simla, and Kiowa, and he has recently retired. and he is moving on to greener pastures. The last time I got an email from him, he said he was at the airport waiting for his plane to Hawaii, and then as soon as he got back, he was picking up his camper and heading into the wilderness. So hopefully we'll get to see him again, but we did do a thank you for your service letter to him, a letter of appreciation to Clay Brown, and if I can, I'll read it. Dear Clay, on behalf of Elbert County, the town of Elizabeth, the town of Kiowa, and the town of Simla, we want to thank you for your years of tireless service to our county and to our towns. Your dedication has resulted in significant state grants and awards that have directly improved the lives of our citizens, allowed for proactive planning, and increased cooperation between the local governments of Elbert County. We wish you well in your retirement. We still have some room out here in the county. We'd love to have you. And then it's signed by the town administrators for Kiowa, Simla, and Elizabeth, and myself. And we'll try to get this to him. We're trying to figure out if there's a going away ceremony or he's already gone, but we'll get it to him and we'll get it to his leadership and let them know how much we appreciate him.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that, because actually, of everyone at the state, he's probably one of the few that actually has helped us do things versus done things to us. So. Any comments?
We do have a replacement, a temporary assignment of Greg Edel. Greg has already been out in the county visiting with us on some future projects. We don't know what the long-term replacement for Clay will be, but we still have that relationship with DOLA, and we'll continue to work that.
Thank you. Anything else? Alrighty. Seeing none, I'll open the meeting now for citizen public comment. This is an opportunity for folks that are here or calling in to raise issues with us that aren't actually part of the agenda that we can take up perhaps at future meetings. Before I go to the room, Amanda, did we have anyone that sent email comment or wanted to be contacted? No. Alrighty, thank you. Then I'll open it up for folks that are here. Sir, did you have comment you want to make? I just would ask that when you come up to the mic, if you give your name, address, and you got 3 minutes.
My name is Jeff Mouse. I live in Elizabeth, Colorado, 376 Pine Ridge Street. And I'm here concerning XL's proposed transmission lines. Any decision you make in your life, important decision, I usually create a pro and con list. That's what I did here, and I found the following. Pros, I really couldn't find any that were in favor of the transmission lines. But cons, there was quite a few. Number one, you'll have lower property values. If you rightfully view real estate as a type of investment, you probably won't appreciate the negative effects of power lines that have on the property values. Some studies have found as high as a 40% reduction in property values. Number two, they're not aesthetically pleasing. Number three, one of the main things of transmission lines is they give off an EMF, an electromagnetic field. And a lot of people have health concerns, and some studies have found that some people suffered from headaches, fatigue, anxiety, insomnia, prickling and burning skin, rashes, muscle pain, and risks of a miscarriage even. Number four, there are restrictions. You need to plan landscaping and certain construction projects around the power lines. And if a power line goes directly over your property, you may run into a lot of annoying property restrictions to accommodate them. Number five, noise can be an issue, and you may be stuck listening to humming noises on an ongoing basis. Number six, the effects of the EMFs on wildlife and livestock. A lot of people out here raise chickens, have cattle, stuff like that. And it's been found in some studies that EMFs can cause a reduced production of eggs and chickens. And also, hens are unable to pick up grains due to their bodies acquiring a charge, causing chattering of their beaks, which affects their growth. Number seven, the effects of EMFs on plants have found that it does affect the growth in plants also. Number eight, a big concern is wildfires. Wind can down power lines and cause vegetation to come in contact with those lines. Since 1973, there's been a 100% increase in red flag warnings due to drought and increased temperatures. And the worst fire in Colorado history, the Marshall Fire, just last year, there was no red flag warning that day. Can you imagine how bad, worse it would have been if there had been? And numerous California wildfires, the cause being downed power lines. Number 9, the power does not stay local, so I don't see that there's any local benefit to it. And once again, I found no pros to this decision, so if XL does do it, and they do come through our county, I ask that they move east, further east, where there's less vegetation, less population density, and all that.
Commissioners, that's 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any other public comment at this time? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Any response? Or
There is, I think there's a group that this gentleman belongs to that is trying to advocate that they move the power line east, and there's certainly good reasons for that. But I got to remind everybody that we still don't have a formal application or even a pre-application yet. So there's lots of talk about where that line is going, but I have not been able to figure out exactly what, when, and where.
Yeah, and just to add, I know Grant had discussions with the folks from XL and one of their lobbyists and had made that case that things need to be pushed east. I know most recently on the interactive map they put up, they've expanded where they're looking farther to the east. They've got a potential line, looks like it runs along 9 Mile Road above Simla, but still cuts over up above. So there's work to be done, but they are actively pushing that way. So I think continue to make those pleas. And I'm not sure if your group, I know they're still open for public comment, I believe, for the next week or so, and I'm hoping that you're going online and putting those comments into them as well. So, thank you.
If I might add to that, there are 2 community open houses that are coming up in the next week or so.
Get closer to the mic.
Gotcha. There are 2 XL Pathway public open houses that are coming in the next week or so. There's one here in Kiowa at the Elbert County Fairgrounds exhibit building from 3 to 7 on March 1st, and on March 2nd in Simla at Big Sandy School's cafeteria from 5 to 7:30.
Yeah. Nope, I'd recommend people give them an earful. Thanks.
Just to add that, to give Greg some credit, when I had the Zoom meeting with XL, Greg participated in it, so he's very aware of some of our concerns. And he's leading the CDS where XL will have to bring their application for it at 1041, is that right? Yeah, so there's lots of stuff to be done, and there's lots of time, I didn't say that right, opportunities for us to try and provide some guidance. And notice I said try.
All righty, moving on to our discussion items. The first one we've got is an update from Representative Buck's office. Travis, welcome.
Well, good morning, County Commissioners and staff. Thank you guys for having me. It has been too long since I've been out to give an update, but that is unfortunately the busy world that Congress is. We're still, as hard as it is to believe, in the beginning of the year, and so we're looking out at 22 being just a continuation of what we were doing in 21. We had a lot going on in 2021, and we're looking forward to taking those moves that we made and getting some things passed and signed into law. The first piece of legislation the Congressman has been pushing, I've mentioned this multiple times before, is the Water Act. This has been a priority of Congressman Buck's for a while now. Basically, it would offer tax incentives for upgrades to water infrastructure, which would allow us to upgrade the water infrastructure here in the county, across the state, and across the nation, which is desperately needed. Something we actually just got out of the House and is over in the Senate, we're hopeful will get onto the President's desk, is a piece of legislation that we were original co-sponsors on that would end forced arbitration for sexual assault cases. The Congressman sees that as something that people should not be forced into if that's the circumstances that they're under. And so if that passes the Senate and gets on the President's desk, we would see an end to that. The biggest priority of the Congressman in the last Congress and in this Congress is his antitrust legislation, taking on the antitrust issues with big tech. We currently have 8 pieces of legislation that deal with everything from data portability, one's ability to take data from one service to another, to how they're allowed to compete and maintain a competitive atmosphere without using monopoly status to wash out their competition. Another great success that we had, as of last week, we finally got the Amachi Act passed through both the House and the Senate. We had passed that last year, and the Senate got it passed this year, and we consented to it. That has not been signed into law quite yet, but it is headed towards the President's desk. That'll designate the Amachi site down in Grenada, Colorado, as a part of the National Park Service. So we're really excited about that. On that same note, the Congressman is looking forward to using that same model that we used in that, which was to put together a study of it and then to basically designate it as a national park site to address other historic sites around Colorado. The next one up is Deerfield up in Weld County, which is a historic site that was post-Civil War. So we're really excited about moving into that.
That's being done in cooperation with local governments
Yes.
and private owners?
Yeah, so with Amachi, I can elaborate on that. We worked very closely with the town. We actually sort of ran into a snag. Senator Lee of Utah said he didn't want he basically didn't want to expand the federal holdings, and so we ran into a snag there, and we took it to the town, and we said, it's your guys' land. You guys, here's an option that we're pursuing, which was a donation option, but it's ultimately your call. We won't pursue it if you don't want to. So we are 100% when it comes to that model, defaulting to private land ownership. We don't want to step over anybody. We just want to ensure that our history is preserved for our future generations so that we can, reconcile our history for ourselves and for our future generations, and we don't want to step over any towns, counties, or private landowners. Thank you. And then the biggest thing at the moment is the infrastructure money that is currently, I would say, floating around, but it's sort of up in the air still. They're going through rulemaking processes. The infrastructure legislation covers everything from airports to water infrastructure to roads and bridges to safety. Our office has been going through quite a few briefings on that. What I can tell you is that they're not quite done, not ready to start spending any money yet. But as soon as they are, our office is more than happy to help in any way that we can in bringing that money to the entire congressional fourth, but especially here to Elbert County. And any resources that I have, I'll be sure to pass this way so that you guys have them as well.
I appreciate that. I guess one of the things we had issues with CARES was just the tight timelines. There was so much time spent in deciding how it could be spent, and then we had less than 6 months really to execute projects and have them fully funded. So.
Yeah, the really nice thing with the infrastructure legislation is it's spread out over 5 years and all the funding is allocated for each year. So we're going to not necessarily see that dump of money right in and then pretty tight deadlines. We're going to see projects that can develop over those 5 years and projects that we may not know about now that we can pursue in that 4th and 5th year. So there will be that influx of money basically from now until 2026. And like I said, anything that we can do to assist the county in getting funding for projects that they have, we're more than happy to assist. That's everything that I have at this point. Like I said, we are just continuing with our priorities from last year into this year, and we're looking forward to having a very productive year and getting some more things across the finish line. And, I'm here. If there are constituents here in Elbert County or any of y'all have any concerns or needs you need brought forward. Thank you, Commissioners.
Questions?
No, but thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Don't be a stranger.
Yes, I will
Okay.
budget out some more time, get out.
I get it. You're not. not working at our whim. You've got another master. Do we have anybody, any comments in the room or any questions for Travis? Yeah, if you could repeat the question and then just.
Yeah, so he's asking about the operation in Deerfield. Deerfield is a site that, after the Civil War, a group of African Americans moved west and set up this site. It was essentially the idea that a utopian site away from the racial discrimination at the time. At the moment, it's essentially a field full of prairie grass. There aren't a whole lot of buildings still there. And unfortunately, most people don't know it's even there. I didn't know it was there until we started looking into it. It's up in Weld County. It's east of Greeley. But it's similar to Amatchie. Amatchie is a very similar circumstance right now where there isn't a whole lot there just because it's been 80 years. But once it's in the National Park Service, they'll have the funds they need to keep it maintained as well as bring some of the shelters back or rebuild shelters to really give that full eminence of what it was. Thank you, Commissioners.
Alrighty, appreciate it. Alrighty. Next item we had was presentation from Centennial Mental Health. Liz? Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Thank you.
All right, so thanks again for getting me on your schedule. It's been a while since I've been making my county rounds. You are, let's see, number 8 out of 10.
We're number 1 out of 10.
I know, in other
I
respects.
appreciate it.
Took me a while to get around, a few more yet to go. So my intention is just to kind of give you a high-level overview of what we've been up to at Centennial for the last year and a half, 2 years since I was here last. Catch you up a little bit on that and zero in on some of the projects that we're really excited about in Elbert County right now. Got an update on some of those just this morning on my travels from Yuma. So I think you commissioners know me. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Hickman. I'm the Executive Director of Centennial Mental Health Center. And this is going to be, I'll start out with this. It's going to be my last visit because I'm retiring in the fall. Thank you. Appreciate that. And our board is working right now with a search consultant to find my replacement, and we'll be leading things forward from there. But it's been my pleasure over the years to work with all of you commissioners in our 10-county area. Most of those have been really pleasant conversations, I must say. A few strained ones here and there, but over 14 years that happens. So the document, the kind of 2-page color document on the front gives you some numbers. Some of those don't change. Still 10 counties, 17,647 square miles, et cetera. Some of the numbers on that page do change from year to year. Individuals, and this is, I should say too, this is from fiscal year 2021. So it ended last June, at the end of June. The individuals that we served in that period of time, catchment area wide, were 4,885. The number right above that is interesting in that the individuals served, I should back up just a second, individuals served over our entire area or region went down about 15% that fiscal year. Of course, this was the right in the thick of the COVID pandemic, just a few months into the lockdown, and we really had to pivot very quickly to provide services in alternative ways. to keep everybody safe. A lot of our clients, a lot of people that might have otherwise become our clients in that period of time, the way I think of it is just that many of us just kind of hunkered down for that first stretch of time. So unless the need was very, very high, we didn't see a lot of new people coming in the door. We continued to keep all of our offices open, including our Elbert office, which is in Elizabeth, so people could still come in. They could connect with some of their providers via telehealth from our offices. And there were a handful of people in each of our offices that we continued to see in person that just could not relate well through technology. So offices were open for walk-ins, for emergencies and the like. But we did pivot fairly quickly. The first month was a lot of telephone delivery, but then we expanded dramatically our ability to do telehealth by video platform. We'd had a strong telehealth program for a while, for psychiatry particularly, for probably 15, almost 20 years actually, from the beginnings of that, which was done in those years just to get more people being able to be seen by our psychiatrists more quickly with less road time. So it's a big catchment area. So we had done telehealth before, but during this particular year, we went from about 15% phone or telehealth to about 75%. So we had a huge proportion of our services that were delivered via video, or actually it was a little higher than that. It's more like 80%. So we were doing, for this fiscal year, a great deal of remote connection with people. If people didn't have devices of their own that they could use, we got loaner phones out to them, smartphones that they could connect. So really made an effort to keep services flowing. That said, service numbers were down a bit. The service number at the bottom of that page, 79,000, was down overall about 17% from the prior year. So that includes things like groups where people would come in. We were able to pivot and provide some groups through telehealth, but some of our more daily groups for individuals with serious and persistent mental illness, we moved back to more individual connection with their case managers and their clinicians to keep people dispersed.
For your fiscal year, does it run on the state calendar, or is it a
It runs July through June.
Okay, so it's the same as
Yeah,
Thanks.
July through June. So on the flip side of this, there's way too many programs to talk about, so I'm just going to highlight some of the new things that came online that particular year in some of these categories. In treatment services, one of the additions that actually we were piloting just prior to the COVID pandemic hitting, and that was school-based telehealth counseling. So this is a program that allows us to get counseling out to kids during their school day with the school's support, and in most cases with parents' permission. Legally, kids from 12 and up can access counseling on their own, but we strive really hard, and schools, of course, do as well, to have parent awareness and parent permission. But the access is so much easier for some families, especially if they're both, working parents. It's sometimes challenging to get kids some of the resources that they need for counseling, unless it's during that school day. And yet we'll never have enough clinicians to put one in every school. We have 36 school districts. That's one of the numbers on the other side. So the school-based telehealth program is now up to about 9 schools. Elizabeth Middle School and High School are both connected with us through that program. So that's been a real growth point for Centennial and relevant to Elbert for sure. We down a little bit in treatment services. We brought online sober living residences for men and for women. The one for women can have, those individuals can have their young children with them so it was built with that in mind. Those 2 residences we placed in Fort Morgan, in part for some kind of central access from most of our catchment area. I don't know if we've had any individuals from Elbert County yet, but we're certainly one of the programs that individuals from here would be eligible for. Sober living, just to clarify, it's not really a full-blown residential program. They don't have 24/7 staffing. People are there voluntarily, but it's a program where people with at least a couple of weeks of sobriety agree to be abstinent from whatever drug of choice, alcohol or drug of choice that they were having problems with, and gives them an alternative way and place to stay sober and kind of shift their whole peer relationships for a period of time to really get their recovery more solid under them. We do have staff there that are there during the week providing groups, individual work, case management work, and so forth. So it is staffed, but not 24/7. So that was another new one. Then down in the support and linkage area of treatment services, we brought online initially with some CARES Act funding through various state departments. We brought online a family navigator program. Our navigators it's been so successful. I know we're going to find a way to sustain it long after the CARES Act and the ARPA funding has gone away. But the navigators really kind of just help take phone calls from families, from individuals that are needing resources, whether that's, I lost my job, I'm about to get kicked out of my home because I can't pay the rent, I don't have enough food for me or the kids, I don't have diapers for my baby. Whatever the challenge is, our navigators have really developed a great understanding of the network all around our 10-county area and route people to assistance in their own location or get them from wherever we need to ship it, what they need. So that's been a really, really successful addition. Our intensive services program, been no major shifts in that, nor in the recovery support realm. Our prevention services program is also growing to some degree. They're always adding some new programs, evidence-based programs. That's what we strive to present. We do a lot of youth work, which is considered kind of an upstream approach, if you will. If you catch young people before they get caught up in destructive coping mechanisms and substance use problems, it can set them on a better path for handling their life challenges down the road. So that upstream approach we really believe strongly in, and there's a lot of really strong evidence-based programs that we use. We're delivering some of those in Elbert County as well. I think Elizabeth School's similar, I believe. So the prevention team does include a lot of school-related supports and materials. We're just in the beginnings of maybe the tail end of the school year, but also next school year, getting some training out additionally from our staff to help schools respond to sometimes the kind of trauma that students bring with them in their lives, of things that they've experienced, is challenging to deal with. It challenges every adult interfacing with them, including their teachers. So that's a program. We just got some additional funding from the Medicaid program that serves Elbert. That's with Colorado Access to boost that along. So we're excited about expanding that as well. So I think that's probably all the shifts. As I said, the numbers overall have been down. The numbers of clients served in Elbert County went down quite a bit that particular year, around 40%. Services only went down about 15%. But we're already starting to see that shift back up. And more people are coming in for intake, for admission into programs all the time. There are a couple of other things that are kind of new and evolving in Elbert County. Our regional director wasn't able to join me this morning. She had a conflict with an interagency organizing group meeting, but she gave me a quick update. She and our clinical director and operations director from this region are working really actively and well with DHS in Elbert County at this point, as well as the other counties along our southern tier of 4, with a program they call the START program. I should know what that acronym means, but I don't. But basically, it's a program where our staff work with families in the home when they're having challenges to kind of keep their basic life structure going, life skills, kind of basic things, not exactly clinical work or therapy, but kind of working from the ground level up, supporting families to get restabilized, and then they do their clinical work, usually with our staff, either at the office or again through telehealth. I should mention too, the telehealth, really many people are loving it. So, so far this fiscal year, we're up to about 50% in person. We opened our doors mostly by client choice, that if they wanted to maintain on telehealth, that was fine for most people. Or if they wanted to start resuming coming back into the office, that was their choice as of last March. So we were primarily remote telehealth for about a year. And then we reopened, and more and more people have been coming back in, but it's still only about 50%. The others like the freedom and the flexibility of doing their sessions from wherever they are, as long as it's private, they can do that. And for families with young children, sometimes it's just easier. There's no transportation barrier, there's no daycare barrier. Just put the kids in the room where they can be safe, and mom or dad is on their session in the next room. So telehealth is definitely with us, going to be here to stay. And so some of our positions, when we're hiring now, we have a segment of our clinical staff that are designated for full-time telehealth, including those that are doing school-based. So, that's kind of the highlights, Elbert stuff. I also want to just, open up to any thoughts, any ideas you have about areas of need that you might be aware of that maybe we haven't heard yet. That's always fruitful to check in on. I know that there's a lot of work also regionally. I was at a meeting some months back ago with Commissioner Richardson and the whole Eastern District, who've been looking at various ways to coordinate, particularly, but not exclusively, around the opioid settlement monies that will be forthcoming before too long. So certainly, Centennial is aware there are parts of the continuum of care, from early intervention to most high-intensity interventions. There are aspects that we don't cover directly. Our crisis services help get people to where they need to be. If that's an inpatient or crisis stabilization unit, we can help transport and get those people triaged to the right place. Similarly, with withdrawal management or detox, we do help get people to the right place when we become aware of them. But I also know in many of our counties that sometimes, especially if there's a criminal charge, it might be a minor criminal charge, but if they're also intoxicated or under the influence sufficiently, sometimes they're just parked overnight in jail. And that works for safety, but it doesn't necessarily get people on the path to recovery very well. So there are gaps, there are opportunities. I think with some of the one-time, or the opioid settlement isn't really one time, because it's going to be spread out over 19 years or so. But some of the other monies that may provide opportunities for grants through the counties that hopefully could be combined in some fashion and work together, we're certainly open to being a part of that. Some of those higher level services are hard to sustain because of the demands for 24/7 staffing and for particular specialties. So like a detox unit, for example, or a 24-hour crisis stabilization unit has to have a nurse present or on call at all times. That gets expensive. So suffice to say that the reason that we don't have those in our 10-county area is really that it's not been feasible to build something and then sustain it over time with the fee-for-service options from the state, whether that's Medicaid or the indigent grant funds that come through the state, either one. But this kind of one-time, if you will, infusion of money could make a difference on capital or some original, initial expenses for programming that might make something like that feasible. So I'm looking forward to how the needs assessment comes out. I think we're getting close to getting that going.
We did select a firm to do that first assessment piece.
Good deal, good deal.
Last week, so
All right.
we're going to see that report in about, I think there's about a 2-month turn on.
Super. Could I ask who was selected for that?
You can, and off the top of my head, I don't recall, but I can shoot that to you.
Super. That would be great.
There were 3 that, there are actually, I think, four bids.
Yeah.
Very competitive.
Yeah, I bet it was. There's a number
Long
of
day
really
of discussion.
good folks, good firms that do that kind of work in healthcare and around behavioral health specifically. So,
Any comments?
any other questions or comments?
I was just curious, Logan and I think Morgan have about the same population as Elbert County, but their clients are like double or 2.5 times
Right.
what Elbert's are. I was just curious if there's a reason for that.
I think the biggest reason I would say is that, our, well, it's kind of twofold. Though the population numbers are similar, the mix of the Elbert County population and the proximity to Castle Rock, Parker, and the metro area is very different. So I know some people from this county, when they need services, go west or go northwest to get services, whether that's through one of our sister mental health centers or private providers. So that's one thing. Our programs in Fort Morgan and in Sterling for Logan and Morgan counties respectively have been around a long time. That county base, the population base, has been pretty stable. Morgan's growing a little bit. But to the degree that we end up being the healthcare home for people with serious and persistent mental illness, I mean, we treat people of all sorts, with all sorts of disorders and quite a range. But our real mission, if you will, is around making sure that those with the most serious illnesses have a place where they can get everything they need. They can get psychiatry, case management, ongoing therapy as need be, and so on. So our programs there serve subgroups of clients that are pretty stable and may remain our client for 20, 30 years. So that's a little bit different, makes it a little bit of a difference in the numbers. And as I said, for whatever reason, I don't have a good explanation. Our drop in sheer client numbers for Elbert County was higher than any of the others that I've visited so far, and I'm not sure why. But it's coming back. Just for comparison, the year before, so pre-COVID, our fiscal year number, let me find it, of clients served was 872. So still, that would have been a little more than half of, or around half of what we were serving that prior year in Logan and Morgan. And that's always, for many, many years, it's been, Logan and Morgan are at the top in terms of numbers. Elbert comes in next. Yuma County is usually fourth. So. You're welcome.
Certainly, but just the stressors of COVID and the response to COVID were pretty obvious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For quite a while, we were
Yep.
tracking almost as many, unfortunately, suicides as we had COVID deaths.
Yeah, it has been. And that reminds me, just in a few more seconds, I'll not take too long, but one of the other things I forgot to mention is that our mobile crisis program, our current crisis director is Cindy Audia. She's done some great training and cross-training and collaboration with the police chiefs in Elizabeth and Kiowa both. We have an active program and have had for years with the jail for jail-based services as well. But Cindy and I can't remember now which, if it's Kiowa or Elizabeth, she's piloting a co-responder model where in some cases the law enforcement at the site could just connect with us again virtually, and in other cases our locally based mobile crisis worker would actually come on scene and help divert people from criminal justice activity and action, but also get them on the path to the services that they need. So that's pretty cool. They've been really eager to work with Cindy in that kind of co-responder model. It's a model that's being used in some of the more populous areas on a full-time basis, but we're making it work as best we can with a lower volume. So thanks again. So appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Thank you. Did we have any questions or comments in the room for Dr. Hickman? Nope. Okay. Seeing none. Next item we had for discussion was the 2023 budget goals.
So commissioners, as you know, every year we ask you for goals on the budget as we start planning for 2023. And now is the time that we normally do this. So you guys have put together a draft of what the budget goals are. Would be happy to have any discussion on those. The next step will also be to get those out again to all elected officials and department heads and see if they've got any input and come back and hopefully approve this in a couple weeks.
Yeah, just one I would ask, one that we did add this year in the overall, we discussed earlier, was establishing a budget steering committee. So, if we could.
You want that added?
It's on here.
Oh, it is on there? Yeah.
Probably before we finalize this, it'd be probably good to pull that group together and sit down over this to see if there is, any questions for us on what does this goal mean, or are there things
Absolutely
that should be in here, or assumptions that you need us to make or to provide, or as you move forward. So if we could do that before going final, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
Cool. Any comments or questions in the room? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to action items. The first item we have is consideration of our minutes from the February 9th meeting. I'd accept a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the February 9th, 2022 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our last meeting and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second item we have for action was the IGA we discussed at the last meeting regarding a study for the 23rd Judicial District. We haven't had any comments or changes.
There were some minor wordsmithing changes and clarifications from the last version to this version, but they're very, very minor and no significant substantial changes at all. So staff's recommending approval.
Okay. None of those changes included us paying anything, right?
None. We're still not paying any money, and we still have the same number of seats, and yeah.
Cool. I'd accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. We approve the intergovernmental agreement regarding the 23rd judicial study.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve the IGA regarding the 23rd Judicial District. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Alrighty, board planning for just kind of get our next meeting kickoff. I know there was, I think, some discussion of the open space property up on Singing Hills, the 151 acres, and getting some deeded restrictions and other items removed so we could actually use it for recreational space. So I think a discussion of that. Got the Library District's annual report, an update on the Public Works facility, and if we could look at a proclamation, kind of an annual one here for support of our livestock producers. As you know, it's -9, so I'm sure somebody's got calves dropping this week. So,
Yep.
all right. Do you have anything else you want to add? Okay, that'll get us going. So with that, I'd call a recess. It's 9:52. We'll reconvene for a workshop regarding discussion of the Independence PUD at 1 p.m. at this location. So thank you for coming out. Thank you for joining us online if you are out there watching.